What if the thoughts that are overwhelming you right now could be the beginning of something beautiful? Trust me, I truly know what it feels like to have a mind that just won't quiet down. I used to struggle with addiction, depression, anxiety, which, if I'm not careful, can still get the best of me. For a very long time, I didn't know what to do with all the thoughts. I felt like I had no control over all the emotions and all the insecurities. And so addiction just felt like the quickest escape. But eventually, and thankfully, I'm so thankful, I started doing this very simple thing. I got outside and I started taking every thought captive on paper. I would draw, I would color, I would doodle, I would express myself through words and images. Countless journals and sketchbooks, I would use them at the same time. Little did I know, years later, that this whole process of getting the inside out would become the foundation for my animal paintings. Hi, my name is Lauren Elizabeth. If you're new here, welcome. I'm a certified art therapy practitioner and an independent pet and wildlife artist and mama. My hope for today is that you look at the journal a different way, that it's not only a place where you can document your life or write down your thoughts. Through my healing journey, I've discovered it's an incredible tool for so much more than that. And now, addiction-free, I'm a mama, I'm a working art therapy practitioner using this with my clients. To my surprise, it's also become the starting point for all my pet and wildlife paintings. And that's what I want to share in today's video. So if you're ready to see change in your thinking and your habits, maybe you're watching this because you want to be more creative and you want to also calm your mind. Or maybe you want your artwork to feel more like you, to feel more original, to be more stylized, to be more relatable. Keep watching. I have a special treat at the end. Here we go. So I have my journal here, and actually my husband was sneaky and he got a hold of it and he wrote in my journal, and I just want to quick share what he wrote. He says, "You are enough. Maybe it's just me, but I don't have this many thoughts in a whole day that you have in an hour. Be more in the moment, slow down, and let me love you." Like, so sweet. There are so many beautiful things, blessings that came from addiction recovery for me, my amazing husband who I met along that journey, and this simple creative habit in my journal. Art journaling gave my chaotic thoughts a place to go. It turned my distress into something tangible, observable, concrete, something to work with and create from. And so that's why today I'm giving away my 6-phase art journaling reset. I have it linked in the description. This is a clear, simple guide and curated prompts specifically made for people who struggle with anxiety, depression, and addiction. It goes along with today's video as I show you how that process played out, how this blue heron butterfly painting began in my journal and my sketchbook. Here we go. So step 1, I got outside with my journal. And why I like to go outside is because it creates this physical break, this physical distance between sometimes triggers, old habits, cycling through the negativity. Because I leave my phone at home or I turn it off and I take it with me, it redirects my attention and my focus on beautiful, good, wholesome things, on beautiful sounds, smells, beautiful flowers, animals. My nervous system pairs up with the beautiful pace and rhythm of nature. I personally feel the closest to God when I'm in His creation. There's no hurry, there's no striving, there's no comparison, no competition. It's just me, nature, and the Lord. And so all you need is yourself in whatever state you're in, and a journal. Maybe it's just a journal, maybe it's just a sketchbook, or like me, both. Phase 2. And this is actually kind of the inspiration behind this monarch butterfly blue heron painting. Phase 2 is where we release it. This is where we open up our hands, whatever we're carrying, and we let those butterflies just fly away. We let them go. We release them. This is where we're releasing those things in the form of images and words and colors and patterns and textures and collage art. The sky is the limit here. But sometimes, just sometimes, I've been there before where I feel too overwhelmed. I almost sometimes feel numb or angry or not in the mood to be creative. And so this is what I do. I am taking notice to everything that's going on the inside and the outside. So after I'm outside for a few minutes, I've taken a few deep breaths. I've calmed my nervous system down. Now I'm observing without any judgment. Before I even start creating or writing, I'm noticing what I see in the environment that I'm in and what I'm sensing in my body. Then I allow those things to influence what I create. I give myself the permission to use my thoughts, whether good, bad, ugly, I don't judge them, my feelings, again, no judgment here, and what I'm taking notice to in my surroundings and in my body. I allow those things to dictate the colors I choose, the animals I draw out, the flowers I color. So let me quick give you an example of what this looks like in real time, in real life. My Anna Grace was at camp, my son was in preschool. I had some time before work to go to the park. I was mentally in a state of mental fatigue, a bit of physical fatigue. I also work as an art therapy practitioner serving domestic violence victims. I've been getting a lot of training in very heavy topics. Now for me, when I'm in this state, I like to move my body. I like to keep this not fast, not slow, but this steady, relaxing pace where I can take those deep breaths. I can scan my horizon, taking notice to all the beautiful things outside. For me, this is when I like to invite God into my thoughts, into this sacred space that I'm in, moving my body, noticing how I'm feeling, thinking, and what I'm seeing. And I'm collecting all that information for what I'm about to create. Now, as I did this, as I was walking, I spotted the most beautiful bird on the water. And as I got closer, I thought it was a blue heron. It was actually a white great egret. And it's just standing there, stalking its prey, ever so still. And I didn't catch it on film, but it managed to grab a little frog. Then as I'm looking over the water, I'm seeing the beautiful lily pads, the bumblebees. These beautiful wildflowers really inspired me, the pinks, the yellows, the oranges. I'm taking notice to everything. In fact, if you look close enough at these beautiful yellow flowers, you'll see tiny, tiny flowers in the center. As I kept walking, looking for a comfortable spot to sit down with my sketchbook and journal, I stumbled upon this beautiful wooden stairway going up the hill. Now, what I love the most that comes with wildflowers is often butterflies. One in particular made me kind of sad because it was very large, but it had a broken wing. And it was interesting because despite having a broken wing, it could still somewhat flutter to flower, and it was just frantically taking in all the nectar it could. It was rushing. I could really relate to that. It was so hurried. And that's when the question came up in my mind. I wonder if it knows it has a broken wing. I wonder if it's rushing because it's running out of time. And that, my friend, leads me to phase 3. This is reflection. I always like to encourage creatives, non-creatives, because you don't have to be an artist to do this, to reflect as you're creating, because we can take so many insights from the actual process and how we do that individually, but especially at the end. So while we're releasing it, we're focusing on what are we actually seeing? What's actually true? What's actually happening? To what is this showing me? What is the meaning? how does this relate to me? In this reflection phase, we are gently examining our thoughts, any patterns we notice, any reoccurring themes without condemnation. So what helps me silence that inner critic as I'm doing this? Because if you're human, there's gonna be negative thoughts that just pop up. They'll come up, but you don't have to take hold of them. You don't have to believe them. You can just release them. I am just constantly conversing with that inner child, asking that annoying, why mom, why, how, what, who, why, asking all the questions without trying to fix anything, without trying to criticize, condemn, none of that. Now, really doing this honestly and as curious as a child, for me, surfaced a bit of guilt, a bit of pressure that I was putting on myself at work and at home. So as I'm reflecting, looking through my journal and my sketchbook, some reoccurring themes, reoccurring words include not enough, shame, pressure, guilt, things that I wasn't meant to carry. And so this leads me to the next phase, and that's reframe. This phase is the bridge between insight and change. Here is where, beautiful things transform. Inside out transformation. This is where we take the information that we've gathered, our thoughts, our feelings, our emotions, our memories, our past and present, and we identify one, at max 2 lies, and we align it with the opposite, which is the truth in our specific circumstance. It's entirely normal to feel overwhelmed here because we're plainly seeing our weaknesses, we're facing them head on, no longer escaping them, and we then see that huge gap between who we are now and where we want to be. But can I encourage you, that gap is not proof that you're incapable of change. It's simply proof that you're human. This is why I've built my life around my hope in Jesus, because I need so much, copious amounts of grace. I make so many mistakes, and especially when I was battling addiction, depression, and the anxiety. So yes, these steps will reveal the weeds, the blind spots, maybe the pride, maybe the bitterness, maybe the trauma. But guess what? We're not trying to close the gap overnight, my friend. We're just gonna focus on shrinking it a little bit, a little tiny bit at a time. So seeing through the eyes of hope and grace, how can we look at this, our circumstance, from a different angle? So for example, in my case, it became clear to me that I had this longing for stillness, for peace and quiet. I could feel it in my body and I could see it in my artwork. And that's why I chose something similar to the great egret, a blue heron, which just has a little bit more color. The bright white glowing water lilies and the bright green lily pads connect with my desire to honor God, to grow, to become more resilient. The butterflies that I saw all along my walk, and especially that one with the broken wing, signifies not only transformation, but being transformed from the inside out and not in our own strength. The weight we stuff down and carry, the expectation, the pressure, the not enough, the perfectionism is just waiting to be released. And the staircase that I saw in my walk, it didn't make it into the final original painting, but it really speaks to the theme of this video about it's only just one small step, not 2, not 3, not overnight, but one tiny small step that we can take at a time to help shrink the gap between who we are now and the person we want to become. And that leads me to the next phase in this process, which is empower. This is the simplest, smallest little action step that we can take today to get closer to the person we want to become. So this newfound beautiful awareness that I've gained from this process about my desires, my hopes, my unrealistic expectations that I'm putting on myself that are weighing down my body. In my case, what I did was I released it in prayer. I will write out my prayers in my journal, my line journal. Now, my other action step that I did do with 2 trustworthy people in my life, with my husband and my counselor, was I shared my journal with them. Why this is so helpful is because if they love you and you trust them, that they can also identify those reoccurring patterns. Now, for you, that action step might mean attending a recovery meeting. It might mean calling that friend to ask for help. It might mean apologizing. It might mean setting a boundary. And the final phase, this is phase 6, and it's repeat. To repeat this over and over and over again. And I'm so thankful at the very beginning to help me establish this habit, to add it in, to help me push out the toxic habits and thought patterns, is by doing this in 2 separate times. When I'm most alert, alive, focused, that's for me first thing in the morning, paired with my cup of coffee. And anytime that I feel tense, racing thoughts, the worry, the fears, I grab that journal and sketchbook, I get outside, and I start creating. Now, you might be able to guess the title of this blue heron painting. I call it Release It, and it is now available on my shop. I've also linked that down below. Guys, I hope this was helpful. Please let me know in the comments what you think. If you already haven't, be sure to download that link down below. It's free. Thanks for watching. Bye.